You know how you feel when Professor Pudlowski asks you to give a verbal presentation with PowerPoint? Or your boss asks you to present the quarterly report to a committee using PowerPoint? Why am I asking you this? If you're like me, you might feel like hiding in a cocoon. Do not be alarmed. There is help for us. For the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you some highlights from the book Presenting to Win by Jerry Weissman. The book details what you need to know to make your presentations brilliant. Just like a butterfly. These highlights will not take away the butterflies you get in your stomach. However, they will help thin them out and give you direction to passage through them. In his book, Presenting to Win, Weissman provides the tips you need to identify and answer critical questions, such as, what is your point B? Point B is deciding what you want your audience to know or do. He explains how to identify your audience and ways to make it clear what your presentation has to offer that is important to them. I'll tell you more about WIFI in a minute. Roman Collins is a technique called clustering that will help you remember what you want to say, and he offers 16 different recommendations for flow structures to help you map the presentation order of your Roman Collins. Let's go back to WIFI for a moment. The acronym stands for What's in it for you? The examples in the book include 6 different prompts to help the speaker explain the benefit of their presentation for a particular audience. 3 of the prompts include ways to explain the benefits to the audience, such as, this is important to you because, what does this mean to you? Or why am I telling you this? 3 other ways to tell them the information is to use who cares, where you should care because, so what? And then tell them here's what. And the word and. Then you tell them here's the WIFI. The most powerful thought I learned from the book Presenting to Win was to simplify. Let's look at some of these concepts that can help us simplify our presentations. Make your point clear. Identify the benefit for your audience. Keep details to a minimum. Keep the presentation short. And remember to have a clear flow pattern. Once you decide on what you're going to tell your audience, it's time to put the presentation together. To help you catch your audience's attention, Weissman suggests 7 classic strategies he calls gambits. The first is question, where you target your question at the audience members. The second is factoid. Provide an interesting statistic or unfamiliar fact. Next, retrospective prospective, where you look at the topics from a past or future viewpoint. Anecdotes, where you provide a short story related to the topic. Or quotation. If you use a quotation, it should be from a respected source. If you are referring to your business, the quote should be specifically related to your business. Aphorism is a familiar saying, and it should be related to your theme and your point B. An analogy is used to compare 2 unrelated items. Weissman also explains how the audience reads slides in a left-to-right sweep across and downward. You can help your audience hear what you have to tell them by not giving them too much to read on a slide. Some suggestions to keep the slides simple include limiting titles to 1 line and omitting subtitles, and bullet points should be keywords only, not sentences. Aim for no more than 4 bullet points per page, and sub-bullet points should be no more than 1 level deep. How you use text in your presentation plays a key role in helping your audience to understand your presentation. Some key elements to keep in mind include using consistent fonts. Font size should be a minimum of 24 to 28 point size. Picture how the font will look to the people sitting in the back row of the room and adjust your font accordingly. Do not use abbreviations. Contrast a light color on a dark background or a dark color on a light background. Avoid clutter and have some blank space. This allows your audience more time to hear what you have to tell them. Charts and graphs should help support the information you are presenting. Some of Weissman's tips include to use horizontal labels. Keep the graphs simple. Align columns, small to large, from left to right. You'll remember from prior slides that flow, text, and graphics are important tools to help your audience grasp your point B. The verbiage you use to transition will help do that too. The following phrases will help you keep focus on your audience. Things like, let's look at, as you recall, or we discussed earlier. Rather than using he or she, consider that gender accuracy can be reached with the words there. It applies to men, women, or both. When your statements are uncertain, consider usage of phrases such as, we're confident, or we're optimistic, or we expect. Let's look at verbal ways to transition slides, called internal linkages. Weissman endorses using as many of the linkages as you need to be able to take your audience to point B. The 12 internal linkages Weissman recommends include the following. Reference the flow structure throughout your presentation. Logical transitions end your current subject and take you to the next topic. Cross-reference, talk about past and future subjects. Rhetorical questions, present a question and then answer it. Recurrent theme gives you something to reference during your presentation. Bookends are when you give an example at the beginning of your presentation and don't mention it again until the end. Weissman states that these can be done through words, phrases, stories, or materials used throughout your presentation. He provides 7 different external linkages. Direct reference is referencing an audience member by name. Mutual reference can be a person or an organization known by both you and your audience. Ask questions directly to one or more audience members. And contemporize is when you reference something that happened the day of your presentation. If you follow the recommendations Weissman presents in his book, Presenting to Win, and simplify the slides, your presentation wings will grow, just like the wings of a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. At first, the butterfly's wings are short and not well developed, and then they grow and expand until the butterfly is ready to fly. With practice, you can become a presenter who grows and ascends above the others, just like the butterfly.